Let's go into the stuff we wanted to. Oh, I wanted to talk about the Alex Stein, Bobby Hutch thing. Or no, not Bobby Hutch. He's fighting Harrington. He's fighting one of Louis J. Gomez's producers. And I'm not above begging Louis J. Gomez for a spot on the undercard, by the way. But Louis is having some kind of feud, and I don't subscribe to Gas Digital, so I can't watch their show, unfortunately. Maybe I should start. He's having a little tiff. A tiff. That's a tough guy. It's a tough guy word. He's having a bit of an issue with one of his former producers, Bobby Hutch. There's this guy, Bobby Hutch, who quit Gas Digital, and now he's going, like a lot of people who quit a job, now he's going on social media, and he's whining, and he's bitching, and Louis never paid him right, and he wasn't taken care of, and all this shit. Yeah. And it sounds like, it's one of these guys who signed a deal, agreed to terms, nobody twisted his arm, nobody made him do it. And now after it didn't work out, he's going to bitch and whine and complain.
Are you talking about Crowder?
Well, like the porn stars who take money to do work.
Take money to take dick.
Yes. And then the video goes crazy and it does millions of views. And then they go, hey, why aren't I being paid for how successful it was? Oh, I'm sorry. You could have signed a deal like that. We would have given you nothing up front. And then you would have gotten a piece of the action on every video. And instead, you took the flat rate.
Yep.
Like, that's not our fault.
If the video wanted the money now.
Yeah, if the video would have got 900 views, should we have made you pay us money for it not? We paid for all the production and everything else?
It's the Mr. Deeds, right?
Yeah,
Mr. Deeds argument.
If you play worse, can I pay you less? So this Bobby Hutch guy starts doing a back and forth on Twitter with Louis J. Gomez. And I read enough of it to be caught up on it, like the Twitter stuff. And this Bobby Hutch is a, what do you call it? A cautionary tale about on employees and, working for people and contractors versus employees and this whole thing. He's really pissed off that Louis J. Gomez, who runs a subscription streaming service, Gas Digital, didn't pay him enough. He said, I agreed to work for Gas Digital, and then I agreed to this salary. He kept calling it a salary. He goes, but I was 1099 and I had to pay all the taxes and this, that, and the other thing. And it's bullshit and fuck Louis J. Gomez and all of this. Well, here's a look into the deep, dark world. And maybe I'm taking Louis's side because on a much smaller scale, I run a company as well. Yeah. So I kind of empathize with him. Bobby, the reason you were 1099 is because if you weren't, and he goes, oh, and everyone else there is 1099 too. That's because Louis is probably, his business is probably scraping by, because he puts a lot of production value into it. It costs a lot of money. It's him, Big J, it's I almost said Kevin Smith, Dave Smith, and all the other people who do shows on that network, and he has to pay all those people.
Yes.
And if he makes them employees, if he makes them, actual employees and not 1099 contractors, he's going to pay potentially tens of thousands of dollars in taxes. Per month. Mm-hmm. Not per year.
Yeah.
$10,000 per month if he makes all of those people employees, because every dollar he pays them, because our government is so smart and so encouraging to entrepreneurs, that you actually get punished tax-wise if you hire employees. You have to pay 7.5% of their salary in payroll taxes back to the government for that wonderful, totally not a Ponzi scheme thing we call Social Security.
I remember when we were first setting this whole business up here, and obviously we had a lot of contractors or whatever. Yeah. We were sitting in the car one day just saying, like, the government doesn't want, like, employers to have employees. They make it cost so much that it's just not possible.
Our accountant told us when we started, they said 1099, contract as much as you can. Because you just have to send them a 1099, send the government a 1099, and you're covered. You don't have to pay anything on it. So if you're a small business, 1099 as much as you can. And this Bobby Hutch agreed to it. He's like, I only got paid this salary. First of all, you didn't get paid a salary. Salary is for employees. If you're a contractor, that was just, you billed him for hours. You billed him how much you made. So he's mad that he had to pay all the taxes, which depending on the state you live in can be anywhere from 30 to 60% of what you made. It's a bitch. It sucks. But you can say no.
Yeah, that's true.
You're allowed to say no. So Louis, as a business owner, is just trying to save himself some money. on taxes, on health insurance, because you hire a certain amount of people, you got to offer everybody health insurance.
Yes.
So he's trying to save, don't blame Louis J. Gomez for this. Blame the government for this, Bobby. They're the ones who fucked you over, not Louis. Louis is trying to keep Gas Digital in a recession. I'm sorry, but streaming services, podcasts, stuff like that are one of the first things to be axed from people's budgets when times get tough.
They're considered a luxury.
Yeah. So Gas Digital is, one of those places that I'm sure is experiencing a crunch right now. Mm-hmm. Things are tight, and he kept you on. He kept paying you. And you quit because you go, oh, well, I didn't get paid as much as I thought I was worth. I always want to say to people like that, I wish Louis would show you the books for 1 month.
Well,
so you could say, here's why Louis is bald.
And that's why, you understand that too. And I feel like a lot of people in our chat that come in like to talk about our money that we make or goals and stuff. And
sure.
It's like, do you guys forget about all the taxes and everything that goes into running this thing?
And we're the tiniest of tiny. We're nobodies.
Yeah.
Gas Digital is many times bigger than Steel Toe probably will ever be.
People in a chat room, even about Gas Digital, will be like, well, I don't understand why why are you managing your money this way, or why is this costing this? And they just forget about every aspect of it.
I'm sorry, but anybody who has Bobby Hutch's side in this Gas Digital thing is an idiot who doesn't understand how a business works. Louis is trying to keep his shit afloat, and doing that means, and a lot of it's loyalty from Louis, and this is how he's repaid. He took this guy, Bobby Hutch. This was probably a kid who was helping him out, and Louis said, you know what? This kid would probably be thrilled just to be helping out Gas Digital.
Yeah.
But I'm going to throw him some money. Because I'm making him work a lot of hours, and I'm going to pay this kid. And there's nothing wrong with going, this isn't enough for me anymore. This 1099 situation isn't enough anymore.
Yep.
And you go to Louis and you say, can I become an employee? And if Louis says, we can't afford it here, that's not the model we're running under, And then you can go, all right, well then, hey man, I wish you guys the best. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to go down the road. There's no rule that says once you leave, you have to go bury the fucking guy.
No.
And bury the guy with inaccurate information. I don't know. I read
People
into that.
People like to do that, though, for some reason.
Yeah. Well, here's the problem. That means you hired a broken person.
Yeah.
That means you hired someone who's got a couple of mental issues that they haven't all worked out, and they're going to project that now onto Louis or Big J or Dave Smith.
You sound like you're just talking chapter and verse about Crowder. Like, he'll sign a contract, and then as soon as something's not going the way he likes it, he buries whoever gave him the contract.
Bobby Hutch, Steven Crowder, Mia Khalifa. All different levels of fuckable, but all of them bitching about the same thing. I don't like the deal I agreed to. It's like that line from Cobb where Cobb tells Al Stump, he goes, what are you mad at me for? You're the one who signed the contract. The man you should be mad at is Al Stump. That's Bobby Hutch. The man you should be mad at is Bobby Hutch. That's all.
Yes.
Michael Pitt says, yeah, someone has to pay the taxes, dipshit. Either Gomez has to or you do.
Yeah.
Exactly. And again, if Louis had to pay taxes on everybody he 1099s, he'd probably go out of business. Sorry. Balls and Wieners says Bobby was a terrible producer. And I know a lot of people who listen to us may not know who Gas Digital is, but I feel like the experience in general is very relatable.
Yes, it is.
For a lot of people. I actually, Freedom's Lunch says, I am a 1099er. I put aside 25% of my pay, and that is usually more than enough to cover all the taxes at the end of the year.
Nice.
There you go.
Be smart. You just have to plan ahead. You have to know what you've got coming. That's it.
Someone says if you get on the undercard at you got to come to St. Petersburg. If so, I'm taking you out to dinner, says Hobo Chili. You're going to poison me before the fight.
That's where that is?
I'm not sure. But yeah, if it's down in Florida, Louis, get me on the fucking card. Get me and Patrick on there. Get me and Chad on there, whoever it is. And let's go have some fun.
Oh, Chad. Oh, God.
Let's go have some fun.
I'm not going to be able to, you're going to have, that on you.
Here's the only way you could make it fair. I've said this before. The only way you could make that fight fair is if it was maybe like Patrick, Melton, and Joe back to back to back one night. Like if I fought the three of them in one night.
No offense, that sounds retarded.
Even then, though, it wouldn't probably be a challenge, but it would be the only way where I would feel like, all right, I got to have some strategy here. I got to pace myself, whatever. But even then, it would be, I think in a 3-minute round, all of them would be over in one round. But that would be fun. I'd have a good time doing that with old Alex and Louis and all those guys. So anyway, moving on to other things as we continue on in today's program. I didn't think we were going to talk about the Bobby Hutch thing. Oh, Scarface says Bobby Hutch was literally homeless when Lewis found him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, good on Lewis then.
There you go. Good job, Lewis. Yeah. But that's the problem. You pick those guys, you think you're helping them. The whole, Bobby Hutch thing, you think you're helping a guy like that if he's homeless and everything else. But the problem is, what you realize later on is that guy was homeless for a reason.